Born in a peerless world, we are both Tangmen. Under the light, there must be darkness. After thousands of years in the Dolua continent, evil soul masters ravaged the world. An 8-year-old boy, burdened with deep blood and hatred, walked out of the dark night and looked down upon the Tang sect's heavenly pride. I have a coffin that can hold the world back. I want this world to have some nourishment for life and some return for death. Technology nourishes the people, copper coffins bury the dead. Keywords of the novel. Peerless Tang Clan's Zhenshi Copper Coffin without pop-ups, Peerless Tang Clan's Zhenshi Copper Coffin TXT Complete Collection Download, Peerless Tang Clan's Zhenshi Copper Coffin Latest Chapter Reading. Chapter 1. Desperate Youth. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Desperate youth. The autumn wind is bleak, the sun is as red as blood, and words cannot express the coldness and clarity of the world. A small mound of soil stands desolate in the midst of weeds. Old man, I'm back. After 3 years of absence, are you okay? A young man in linen cleared the weeds and came to this abandoned tomb, with an expression on his face that could not be said to be mocking or something. Old man, you have collected countless corpses throughout your life. I don't know how many people have been buried, but I didn't expect that after you died, besides me, there was not even one person to clean up the weeds on your grave. As the young man cleared the weeds, he muttered to himself, in the past 3 years, I have traveled through most of the Star Luo Empire and wanted to find the murderer who killed you that day. I know that 9 out of 10 of these people are in the Sun and Moon Empire, but since they have arrived in the Star Luo Empire, they should not easily leave. After all, the border between the two empires is not easy, let alone their group of mice. Unfortunately, I couldn't find it. The young man paused and continued, but I haven't gained anything either. 3 years have passed, and now I have finally reached level 10 of cultivation. The young man spoke with a self-deprecating smile and said, 10 levels, is that ridiculous? I also think that as a traveler, it took me 3 years to cultivate to level 10 in the familiar Dolua continent. I should have lost face with all the travelers, right? Do you think there's any difference between me, a useless person, and whether I practice or not? With Laozi's intelligence and 2 lifetimes experience and knowledge, I won't say much about wealth and prosperity, but let's just live a comfortable life casually. Choosing a beautiful wife is not right, it seems like it's feudal society. So choosing 2 wives is not a big deal, right? The happiness of everyone. In the future, when you get old, you can also enjoy the joy of having grandchildren around your knees for a while, and it's better to spend your whole life with corpses. And you say that you spend your whole life with corpses, and your whole body is full of dark energy. The martial soul is still a martial soul in the underworld, otherwise you wouldn't be mistaken for an accomplice of the evil soul master, and you wouldn't even have a chance to survive. Never mind, I won't tell you so much anymore. I know you love the wine brewed by Widow Wang at the village head the most. Although I suspect you have a crush on her, I secretly took a sip of the wine from Widow Wang's house, and the taste is indescribable. However, Widow Wang is good-looking, so it's only natural for you to like him. The young man sat in front of the solitary grave, took out a jar of wine and poured it on the head of the grave, with an indescribable expression of desolation. The young man grabbed half of the poured wine jar, took a sip of it, and the spicy liquor entered his throat, as if he didn't know how to drink at all. He coughed loudly, and the liquor and tears blurred his eyes. The boy's name is Jiang Hai. 11 years ago, he was still a sophomore in another world. Nature manipulates people. When the teenager was brushing TikTok, he saw a topic. If you could travel to the world of Dolua, which story would you choose to travel to? Without even thinking, Jiang Hai humbly clicked on the Peerless Tang sect of Dolua continent, and then he arrived in this world. Undoubtedly, Jiang Hai was faced with soul-piercing, and he became a baby in a daze without knowing how. Jiang Hai didn't know who his mother was, and he had never seen that woman since he was conscious. Later, according to the old man, she died from childbirth. And Jiang Hai's father is the owner of this solitary tomb. A messy old man in his 40s, Jiang Tian. In the Dolua continent, everyone has a martial soul. Although Jiang Fu does not have soul power, he also has a martial soul. His martial soul is a coffin. With the special nature of his martial soul, Jiang Fu opened a charity village to help people collect corpses and earn some hard-earned money. Generally speaking, Jiang's father collects corpses for others. If there are still relatives, the relatives of the corpse usually give Jiang's father some hard work money. If there are no relatives on the corpse, Jiang's father will donate a portion of the money on the corpse and use the rest to live on his own. But how many wealthy people are there in this world who expose their bodies in the wilderness? Even for wealthy people, most of their wealth has been plundered cleanly. Why is there anything else to do with Jiang's father? So Jiang's father was all poor and had no savings. But it was this that didn't have much savings, yet it harmed Jiang's father's life. Jiang's father only had Jiang Hai as his only son in his lifetime, and he also took great care of his son. The deceased cannot be pursued, it is a pity for those who come. Jiang Hai also accepted the life of this life. But when he was 6 years old, an accident occurred. People from Dolua continent, regardless of gender, can activate their martial souls under the guidance of a soul master at the age of 6. If they have soul power, they can also cultivate and become a famous master, a soul master. In the past, when there was a martial soul hall on the mainland, the ritual of awakening the martial soul for others was presided over by the martial soul hall. Later, after the fall of the martial soul hall, the martial soul awakening ceremonies of major families were carried out by their own soul masters or soul masters from various soul master colleges, while ordinary civilians went to various city lord mansions to awaken. At the beginning, there were numerous gods in Dolua continent, and many of the gods in Shrek Academy came from civilian backgrounds. The power of the gods was still there, and although there were disagreements in various regions, they dared not openly reveal them. However, after thousands of years, the awakening of martial souls in various regions became increasingly intense. Awakening martial soul has gradually become a business in various places. It's okay to meet a city lord who still has a sense of justice in his heart, but it's okay to meet a city lord who is relentlessly demanding. Without money, awakening the martial soul has become a luxury. Hope live and nurture, die and return. Jiang's father has been doing good deeds and accumulating virtue throughout his life, but he never expected to end up with no money. Until the age of 8, Jiang Hai never awakened his martial soul. Although Jiang Hai didn't say it, his father couldn't see Jiang Hai's desire to become a soul master. Entering this magical world, who doesn't want to awaken their martial soul and control their extraordinary power? Over the past 2 years, Jiang's father painstakingly restrained his body and expanded his range of activities. But is Dolua continent really a peaceful and prosperous era? A group of evil soul masters appeared in the neighboring Duhang city area of Pinghai city, and many people died. Jiang's father also had a thought and went to Duhang city alone. He is not even a soul master, how could he have such good luck? Can you turn danger into safety in the territory where evil soul masters appear? And he still does the work of restraining corpses. As expected, Shrek Academy chased after the evil soul master, and Jiang Fu was caught by the evil soul master to threaten the students of Shrek Academy. Father Kejiang carried a large coffin and spent years with corpses, naturally imbued with the scent of many corpses. Shrek's teachers and students also directly concluded that Jiang's father was also an evil soul master, and this was just a bitter trick of the evil soul master. Jiang's father died. Jiang Hai has been thinking, if Jiang's father recalls his martial soul at the last moment, will the people of Shrek Academy show mercy? But what's inside that coffin is the hope for his son's awakening of martial soul. As long as you bring back the body inside this coffin and your savings over the past 2 years, it will be enough to raise enough money for the awakening of Jiang Hai martial soul. Jiang Hai clenched his fist, and a fierce aura burst out from him. A bronze coffin appeared behind him. The bronze coffin is half rusted, but one can see the ancient and heavy patterns on the body of the coffin. This is the martial soul of Zhenshi, the bronze coffin. Old man, you have collected a lifetime of corpses, and I will inherit your life. I will use this bronze coffin to restrain the corpses of all the demons in the world. The calm young man appeared with an indelible aura on his body at this moment. You better remember what you're saying now. If one day you become an evil soul master, or if I find out that you have cultivated the techniques of an evil soul master, I will personally arrest you and bring you to justice. A cold and incomparable voice came from behind Zhenshi. You're here. Zhengshi's face was incredibly calm. A woman in a white dress walked over, her stunning face now showing a hint of surprise. I didn't expect that in 3 years, you really went from half-level soul power cultivation to level 10. If it weren't for your martial soul awakening being led by me, I would really doubt if your innate soul power was really only half-level. In 3 years, his soul power has been increased by 10 levels, and it is still in the soul warrior stage. This speed is not very fast, and even very ordinary, but the premise is that his innate soul power will not be only half a level. The innate soul strength of a soul master determines its talent. It is a question whether a person with only half a level of innate soul power can become a soul master. If the awakened martial soul of Zhenshi were not her soul Dolua, half-level innate soul power could not even be detected. There are many people in the world who only have half-level innate soul power, but except for those who come from a big family, they will be considered to have no soul power. Ordinary soul masters and soul guides cannot detect the existence of half-level innate soul power. Unfortunately, Zhengshi's innate soul power is only half-level, making it almost impossible for him to become a powerful soul master. However, with only half a level of innate soul power, Zhenshi spent 3 years cultivating to level 10, which is simply unbelievable. Even a soul fighter like Zhang Lishuan, who is a peerless genius at Shrek Academy, must admit that Zhenshi is indeed a very strange person. 3 years ago, Zhang Lishuan was the leader of the inner courtyard of Shrek College in the matter of Zhang's father. Afterwards, Zhang Lishuan also performed a martial soul awakening ceremony for Zhenshi and promised to help him obtain his first soul ring. In the cultivation of soul masters, there is a bottleneck at every level 10, and it is necessary to obtain the soul ring on the soul beast to break through. Soul beasts are powerful. A soul warrior without any soul skills may not necessarily be much stronger than an ordinary person, and naturally cannot hunt soul beasts alone to obtain soul rings. Zhang Lishuan remembered the middle-aged man with gray hair, perhaps moved by the heavy fatherly love, or perhaps due to inner unbearable feelings. 3 years ago, she agreed to obtain the first soul ring for this young man. Ha! Zhenshi sneered and said, compared to geniuses like you from Shrek College, I'm afraid I'm not worth mentioning. Zhang Lishuan, he naturally knows who she is. She is the senior sister of Shrek Academy's inner courtyard, and at the age of 20, she has reached the level of over 80 soul Dolua. She is the true pride of heaven. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Tianbian. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 Tianbian. After clearing the weeds in front of the grave, Zhenshi stood up and set off with Zhang Lishuan to obtain the first soul ring. Although Pinghai City is named after the sea, it is not a coastal city. On the contrary, it is completely an inland city under the jurisdiction of the Star Luo Empire. However, it is close to the Heavenly Soul Empire and the Doling Empire, and can be considered one of the areas at the border of the Three Kingdoms. Therefore, the traces of evil soul masters only appear in the neighboring Duhang city of Pinghai City. The Sea of Pinghai City refers to the Forest Sea. 2/3 of the area of Pinghai City is covered in forests, and the wind blows through the leaves, swaying like the sea. The lush vegetation of Pinghai City is not too far from the largest primitive forest on the Dolua continent, the Starry Forest. The Star Forest is naturally the best choice to obtain the first soul ring. The Starry Forest has a vast area, with countless soul beasts and diverse species, making it a natural treasure trove for human soul masters. Of course, the star forest not only represents opportunity, but also represents death. This is a forbidden area for humans, even powerful soul masters die every year in the star forest. There are countless soul beasts in the star doe forest, but soul beast cultivation is much more difficult than humans. The cultivation of a soul beast may take thousands or even thousands of years, and humans' demands on soul beasts are unlimited. According to records in the Shrek Academy Library, after 10,000 years, the area of the star doe forest has decreased by 1/10. Perhaps one day, the star doe forest will disappear into the history of Dolua continent. Perhaps it's just being idle, Zhang Lishuan said. Jiang Hai said calmly, the contradiction between soul masters and soul beasts is difficult to reconcile. As long as humans still have soul masters, it is impossible not to hunt soul beasts. Unless one day, human soul masters can break through without soul rings. However, even so, human hearts are selfish and no one can tolerate the temptation of soul rings to bestow soul skills. Moreover, even if human soul masters become extinct, the forest resources, minerals, and cultivated land area of the star forest may become the root cause of human encroachment on the star forest. Human desires have no limit. The problem with Dolua continent was discovered by someone 10,000 years ago, but has the problem changed? Tang San didn't know that as human activities grew, the area of the starry forest would decrease. But has he changed? Not to mention that Tang San, who has already taken control of the rules, has no ability to change the cultivation method of Dolua continent soul masters. However, for him, he is also a soul master, and the survival and death of soul beasts have nothing to do with him. Human hunting and killing soul beasts can also weaken the strength of the soul beast clan. When did Dolua continent soul masters need to hunt soul beasts to advance this rule? Obtain the first invincible divine beast from Dolua continent. Jiang Hai thought to himself. Zhang Lishuan looked at Jiang Hai in surprise. Jiang Hai's words were similar to those of many Shrek teachers, but none of them were well-read and knowledgeable. Those who could serve as mentors at Shrek Academy were all elites from mainland China. It was extraordinary for a young man from an ordinary background to have this kind of insight. Moreover, on Jiang Hai, Zhang Lishuan always had a strange feeling, as if she was an old man who had seen through the world. He had thought it was the loneliness of losing loved ones before, but now it seemed different. After obtaining the first soul ring, you are already a soul master. Have you ever thought about what your plans are for next? Zhang Lishuan asked with a movement in her heart. No, the world is vast, and the world is home. However, I think one day I will go to the sun and moon continent, where to live. Jiang Hai shook his head and said. In 3 years, he has traveled most of the Star Luo Empire and no longer holds much hope for the 3 kingdoms of the original Dolua continent. Perhaps his soul from a different world, the sun and moon continent, will make him feel a bit familiar with the past. Moreover, the sun and moon continent is the headquarters of the Holy Spirit cult of the evil soul master. Perhaps here, he can find the trace of the evil soul master who killed the old man. The Empire of Sun and Moon. Zhang Lishuan frowned and said, you are still too young and have had very little experience. I admit that there may be some people who bend the law for personal gain in the 3 kingdoms of Dolua continent, but the overall situation is still good. Moreover, Shrek Academy will also change and supervise everyone. Moreover, the ambition of the Sun and Moon Empire may not be better than that of the 3 major empires of Dolua continent. Zhang Lishuan knew why Jiang Hai wanted to go to the Sun and Moon Empire, as she was already disappointed with the Dolua continent. Although Jiang Hai was just a small soul warrior with only half a level of innate soul power, Zhang Lishuan still felt a little uncomfortable when she heard that Jiang Hai wanted to go to the Sun and Moon Empire. She was born and raised in Dolua continent. Although her parents passed away since childhood, she was adopted by the Sea God Pavilion Master of Shrek Academy at a very young age, feeling the warmth of Dolua continent. Therefore, she did not want anyone to be disappointed with Dolua continent. Jiang Hai smiled and didn't say much. He has a lot of gratitude in his heart towards Zhang Lishuan, the first character he encountered in the original work of Dolua continent. There were many members at Shrek Academy who led the team to eliminate the evil Soul Master, but Zhang Lishuan was the only one who did not despise his background and was willing to lend a helping hand to awaken his martial soul and obtain his first soul ring. But is delayed justice really still justice? His martial soul arrived 2 years late, and the cost was too heavy for him to bear. In front of Zhang's father's grave, he also truly revealed his inner self-blame. But there is still resentment in Jiang Hai's heart. If you don't have a place to go, perhaps there is a sect that suits you very well. I can introduce you and join them directly. Moreover, that sect has a close relationship with Shrek College. Even if you join them, you haven't had the opportunity to study at Shrek College yet. They have an exemption qualification from Shrek College every year, and even without assessment, you can still study at Shrek College. Zhang Lishuan said. The current Shrek College is not thousands of years ago, it is undoubtedly the first college on the mainland, and it is unknown how many talented soul masters it has cultivated. Jiang Hai joined Shrek Academy, and as long as he stays there until graduation, even if he doesn't do anything, he will only be a great soul master for his whole life, and he will be a guest wherever he goes. This is the charm of Shrek College. And Jiang Hai also knew what the sect Zhang Lishuan was talking about. Tangmen. One of the most glorious sects 10,000 years ago, founded by the sea god Tang San 10,000 years ago, is also a continuation of the Tang sect in his past life legend. Even if the Tang clan has already declined, it is still an unattainable existence for him, a small soul warrior with only half a level of innate soul power. Let's talk more. Jiang Haidao. Zhang Lishuan nodded and said again, alright, although Tangmen is declining now, its unique skills have not been lost, and it is precisely because of this. Many constraints cannot limit you. The leader of Tangmen is not much older than you now, and the person is also good. Tangmen is definitely the best choice for you. When talking about the leader of the Tang sect, a hint of complexity flashed in Zhang Lishuan's eyes. Jiang Hai knew about the relationship between Zhang Lishuan and Beibei, but his attention was focused on the jungle ahead and he didn't pay attention to the complexity of Zhang Lishuan's fleeting appearance. This is already the starry forest. The talent of spicy chicken in Jiang Hai naturally cannot perceive anything like the stronger vitality of heaven and earth, but it also feels that the air becomes fresher, and there seems to be a dangerous atmosphere permeating the air. This is just the outer area of the starry forest, there won't be any danger. Zhang Lishuan couldn't help but say when she saw Jiang Hai's serious face. But the next moment, the originally clear sky suddenly darkened, and a thunderous roar echoed from the sky. In this moment, the sun's rays were completely obscured by darkness, and a breathtaking pressure hovered in the sky. Holding the sun, moon, and stars, there is no me in this world. Oh, I still have a strand of divine consciousness that hasn't dissipated. Two interesting little guys, which one should I choose? A vague consciousness emerged in the pressure. Is this the arrival of the scourge of the undead? A plot came to Jiang Hai's mind, the world was gloomy. So, Yuhao was also outside the starry forest, gaining the power of the heavenly dream ice silkworm's million-year soul ring. At this moment, a bright moon rose from mid-air, dispelling the darkness. 8 soul rings appeared on Zhang Lishuan's body, and the 8th soul ring was actually blood red. At the moment the bright moon appeared, the consciousness hovering in the sky seemed to have made a decision. In an instant, the consciousness rushed towards the other side of the forest, and the pressure suddenly disappeared. After a while, Zhang Lishuan also withdrew her martial soul and her face became a bit solemn. She said, "This kind of pressure is very strange. I don't know what happened in the starry forest. It's better for us to leave early. Let's go, I'll take you to find a suitable soul beast." Zhang Lishuan grabbed Jiang Hai's shoulder, and a faint fragrance wafted from her body. Before Jiang Hai could have any beautiful thoughts, the surrounding scenes had already rapidly passed. The speed is very fast, and Jiang Hai himself is far from achieving this step, but when it comes to discomfort, there is nothing wrong with it. Zhang Lishuan's speed is indeed very fast, but can it be faster than high-speed rail? Moreover, during her flight, Zhang Lishuan's soul power lingered on both sides of her body, which was no different from sitting on a high-speed train. The two of them had already approached the starry forest, but in half an hour, Zhang Lishuan stopped with Jiang Hai. The towering ancient trees are overgrown, and the river and sea seem to have come to an ancient primitive forest. This is the starry forest. In the outer circle of the starry forest, Zhang Lishuan also put away her martial soul. Although the soul beasts in her outer circle of strength almost did not threaten her, her long-standing habits still made her subconsciously restrain her breath. Do you have any requirements for the soul beast of the first soul ring? Zhang Lishuan asked. Jiang Hai thought for a moment and asked, is the dark gold fear claw bear okay? Zhang Lishuan gave Jiang Hai a white glance and said, the dark gold claw bear is the dominant race in the Star Do forest, and there is an extremely terrifying hegemon deep in the forest. On the periphery, you can hardly encounter the dark gold claw bear that has been around for 300 to 400 years. It's better to reject your idea. If not, I'll choose one for you. Okay. Jiang Hai nodded. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. King of Diamond Tiger. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 King of Diamond Tiger. The Star Forest is vast and boundless, and with human exploration of it, it has also been divided into multiple regions. From the outside to the inside, it can be referred to as the edge area, outer circle, mixed circle, core circle, and the place of great calamity. Zhang Lishuan had already brought Jiang Hai to the outer circle. Zhang Lishuan's strength is almost invincible in the outer circle, but the recent incident still made Zhang Lishuan feel a little nervous, and she dare not directly release her spiritual power to explore the outer soul beasts. I can only constantly wander around the peripheral areas with rivers and seas, searching for suitable soul beasts. Suddenly, a rustling sound came from the forest, followed by a tiger roar. Zhang Lishuan's eyes lit up as she explored with a tidal wave of spiritual energy. After a while, a hint of regret appeared on her face. Unfortunately, it's a nearly 800-year-old diamond tiger. Otherwise, a century-old diamond tiger would fit your bronze coffin martial soul quite well. Centennial Diamond Tiger. Jiang Hai doesn't know much about soul beasts, but he also vaguely remembers several types of soul beasts. The Millennium Diamond Tiger is one type, and if he remembers correctly, one of the soul rings worn by Mu Bai is from the Diamond Tiger. Dai Mu Bai, no matter what, is the prince of the Star Luo Empire. He is a member of the White Tiger family, and the soul beasts chosen for the soul rings are not bad. This Diamond Tiger is also very unique, as its bones are like diamond, and it is invincible. Just him. Zhang Lishuan still had some regrets, Jiang Hai suddenly said. Zhang Lishuan was taken aback for a moment and then realized that Jiang Hai is a wild place with no one to teach, and it is normal for her not to know the age of soul beasts. She patiently explained, choosing a soul ring for a soul master is not necessarily better with stronger age, and there is a possibility of failure in fusing soul rings. According to the research of generations of teachers at Shrek College, it is generally best to control the age of the first soul ring for a soul master to be around 300 to 400 years. Some gifted individuals can fuse soul rings of soul beasts for 500 years, but from the beginning, the first soul ring is fused with soul beasts for 800 years, even if it is the most outstanding generation in Shrek legend. Tang San's ancestors did not achieve it either. Although this diamond tiger's attributes are quite suitable for your martial soul, its age is too high for you. Of course, if you have a second soul ring, you can still choose it. As Zhang Lishuan spoke, the 800-year-old diamond tiger had already emerged from the jungle, and Jiang Hai had already seen its full face. What a mighty and domineering diamond tiger! The hair of the diamond tiger is golden all over, reflecting the light of metal in the sunlight, as if its body is made of poured gold. The tiger's eyes are bright and powerful, and extraordinary. Tiger howls in the mountains and forests. Tigers have always been the dominant species in the jungle, and the diamond tiger in front of me is also full of the domineering aura of a king. Roar! With a roar, the diamond tiger leaped forward and charged directly towards Zhang Lishuan and Jiang Hai. Before the diamond tiger could pounce, a gust of fishy wind had already arrived in front of Jiang Hai. Facing the diamond tiger for the first time, that aura made people feel scared and scared. Those who are timid are afraid that they will be scared out of their wits. Wu Song fights the tiger. Jiang Hai suddenly understood what kind of divine courage it was for Wu Song, who was flesh and blood, to kill the great white tiger with his eyes hanging. Get lost. A sea-like soul power surged out of Zhang Lishuan's body, and the soul power was released, condensing a wall of soul power in front of the two. Boom! The body of the diamond tiger rushed straight into the soul power wall, and its body flew backwards, breaking many trees. King Kong Tiger stood up with a grin on his face, a hint of fear in his eyes, but there was still a wild glint in his eyes, unwilling to leave. There was a hint of impatience in Zhang Lishuan's eyes, as the moon of martial soul appeared faintly. 8 terrifying soul rings surrounded her, and the 8th blood-red soul ring was filled with a bloody aura. Even the diamond tiger was intimidated by the aura on the soul ring, and her limbs trembled incessantly, but there was still a hint of ferocity in her eyes. Oh, it's actually the blood of the royal family. No wonder you haven't escaped in front of my pressure. Unfortunately, if your age is any lower, it's a perfect first soul ring choice. Of course, as a soul master with the blood of the royal family, your second soul ring is also perfect. Zhang Lishuan seemed to see something and exclaimed in surprise. Jiang Hai was a bit curious and asked, "What is the blood of a royal family?" Zhang Lishuan looked at the 800-year-old diamond tiger, and the more she looked at it, the more regretful it became. When she heard about the problems of the river and the sea, she explained, "Humans have kings, ruling all directions, and there are naturally kings among soul beasts. The blood of kings is the bloodline of the strongest one in a tribe, and they are born to become kings. They are the most powerful type in the tribe, able to command all of their kind. This diamond tiger has royal blood on its body, and once it grows up, it is the king of the diamond tiger tribe. Generally speaking, soul beasts with royal blood have stronger power in the skills bestowed by soul rings on soul masters. Of course, such the soul ring is also more difficult to absorb the blood of the royal family." Jiang Hai's eyes flickered with a strange light, and he said word by word, "Sister Xian, I want to try to merge the soul ring of this soul beast." Zhang Lishuan frowned and said, "The blood of the royal family is indeed rare, but as I have just made it clear, with your physique, you cannot absorb its soul ring at all. Integrating its soul ring is almost a matter of life or death for you. Even the slightest chance of survival is just a chance to regain one's life. You cannot successfully merge its soul ring." "I know, but I want to give it a try." Jiang Hai remained stubbornly stubborn. He is just a waste with only half a level of innate soul power. Although his martial soul is unique, it is not enough to support him to seek revenge. Zhang's father went alone to the place where the evil soul master was raging. Didn't he know it was a near death? What qualifications does the old man have to evade the martial soul he exchanged for him with his life? How can he seek revenge if he remains content with mediocrity? Zhang Lishuan seemed to see something from the young man in front of her, and couldn't help but sigh. She said in a deep voice, "I don't agree. Don't worry, I will find a soul beast that suits you. It won't be worse than any royal blood. Even if you really want the dark gold terror claw bear, I won't be able to catch one for you. But now I absolutely don't agree with you choosing this 800-year-old diamond tiger with royal blood as your first soul ring. Sister Xian, thank you very much, but I have found my own path. Please go back this time." The soul beast of my first soul ring will not change, it should be my soul ring from birth. Jiang Hai bowed to Zhang Lishuan, his eyes flashing with a stubborn light. Bronze coffin. Jiang Hai let out a low cry, and a huge bronze coffin appeared beside him, crashing to the ground with a loud bang. At this moment, the bronze coffin finally showed its true sharpness. The copper rust on the bronze coffin body has dissipated, and the ancient coffin body reflects the light of bronze in the sunlight. Even without a soul ring, this bronze coffin still gives people an undeniable sense of heaviness. Seeing the bronze coffin again, even Zhang Lishuan couldn't believe that the owner of such a bronze coffin had only half a level of innate soul power. In the moment when Zhang Lishuan was in a daze, Jiang Hai dragged the heavy bronze coffin out of the range protected by her soul power. Zhang Lishuan sighed and wanted to stop, but hesitated for a moment. Forget it, once he knows the difference between himself and the diamond tiger, he will give up. The 800-year-old diamond tiger, along with the blood of the royal family, even a great soul master with 2 soul rings cannot be said to have defeated it, let alone a small soul master with only 10 levels of soul power and no soul skills in Jiang Hai. Anyway, with her soul fighting presence, Jiang Hai's life is also guaranteed, so it's good for him to see and recognize the dangers of the Star Doe forest. Roar! The diamond tiger saw Jiang Hai stepping out of Zhang Lishuan's soul power protection, and his eyes also flashed with anger. The tiger roared and shook the sky, and with a flash of golden light, its robust body had already rushed towards it. Its sharp claws shimmered with golden light, enough to crack mountains and rocks. Boom! Jiang Hai's body retreated, and the bronze coffin was already in front of him. Under the earth-shattering collision, the bronze coffin continued to tremble. Jiang Hai, hiding behind the bronze coffin, supported it, but his feet were already deep underground, indicating how strong the impact of the diamond tiger was this time. Blocked. Zhang Lishuan's eyes flickered with a strange expression as she prepared to take action. A soul warrior actually blocked the 800-year-old diamond tiger strike. Is this really a useless soul master with only half-level innate soul power, rather than a genius with full innate soul power? Just as Zhang Lishuan thought that Jiang Hai was planning to continue using his martial soul bronze coffin to resist the impact of the diamond tiger, he saw Jiang Hai walk out from behind the bronze coffin, holding the coffin string with one hand. His thin and weak body erupted with unimaginable strength, and with just one hand, he dragged the bronze coffin weighing 700 pounds. The river and sea dragged the bronze coffin, and the other side of the bronze coffin dragged a thick groove on the ground. The figure of the diamond tiger flickered rapidly, transforming into a golden light and charging towards the river and sea again. And Jiang Hai also swung the bronze coffin and fiercely threw it forward. Zhang Lishuan's pupils shrank as the diamond tiger charged forward again, as if it had actively collided with a bronze coffin. Its strong body was directly hit by the bronze coffin, and under the terrifying force collision, the golden light of the diamond tiger's claws was scattered by the bronze coffin. Its flying body was directly shaken to the ground by the powerful force. Natural divine power. Not only that, Jiang Hai's control of timing was also perfect to the extreme. The bronze coffin was incredibly heavy, and Zhang Lishuan estimated that it weighed at least 500 pounds. Jiang Hai's speed in swinging the bronze coffin was not slow, at least not as fast as the 800-year-old diamond tiger, but this coffin accurately hit the diamond tiger. Accurately. It's like a diamond tiger hitting a bronze coffin on its own. This little guy's talent is far more outstanding than imagined. His innate divine power and innate soul power are not that simple. Even if he really only has half a level and cannot break through level 29 in his lifetime, he will still be a terrible soul master. This kind of genius must not be cheaper than the Sun and Moon Empire. After I go back, I must find a way to let him join Shrek Academy. Jiang Hai's performance changed Zhang Lishuan's view of him. Even if Jiang Hai's talent really falls to the extreme, this coffin is enough for him to rediscover Jiang Hai. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Double Coffin. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 4 Double Coffin. At the moment when Zhang Lishuan's mind was changing, Jiang Hai had already swung the bronze coffin again, and the heavy bronze coffin hit the body of the diamond tiger again. Even if the diamond tiger, with its steel muscles and iron bones, was once again hit by a bronze coffin weighing over 700 pounds, it couldn't help but whimper. The condensed soul skill on its body disintegrated again under the suppression of the bronze coffin, and its qi and blood were devoured, spitting out a mouthful of blood. Jiang Hai was like a robot, meticulously repeating his previous actions, swinging a bronze coffin taller than his body and tirelessly smashing it fiercely onto the body of the diamond tiger. It's hard to imagine that a golden tiger with a lifespan of over 800 years and carrying the blood of the royal family is like a kitten in front of a soul warrior, with no fighting power. The diamond tiger has steel tendons and iron bones, and its body is like a diamond. It has strong qi and blood, and can quickly recover even if injured. Its defense is incredibly strong. But Jiang Hai smashed coffins one by one, and every time he smashed, there seemed to be a surge of energy released from the bronze coffin, dissipating the qi, blood, and soul power condensed by the Vajra tiger. Otherwise, he wouldn't have even had a chance to counterattack. One coffin, two coffins, three coffins. Jiang Hai persevered and tirelessly repeated the previous actions. After an unknown amount of time, Jiang Hai's face had turned extremely pale, and her arms were trembling with blood. Zhang Lishuan finally couldn't help but say, "Enough, it's already dead." Dead. A deep yellow soul ring condensed from the body of the diamond tiger. This diamond tiger would never have imagined that he would die so suffocated, dragging a large coffin and smashing it to death one by one. The Vajra tiger has excellent defense, but it is precisely like this. One coffin after another comes down, and its body is already flesh and blood blurred. The pain it endured before death is far greater than that of an ordinary person, and a resentment seems to be lingering on its body. Zhang Lishuan said with a serious expression, "This diamond tiger has royal blood, and this kind of soul beast with royal blood is naturally stronger than other soul beasts. The resentment on this diamond tiger is too strong, and some of it has merged into the soul ring. Even if the quasi-soul master wants to merge its soul ring, it is difficult. Even if you have the ability to kill it, I still do not recommend you to merge its soul ring. After all, you are just a soul warrior. Even if your body is stronger than an ordinary person and the limit of endurance is higher, the impact of soul will is more painful and dangerous than the physical endurance." Zhang Lishuan didn't even know what to say. Jiang Hai's physique did indeed have the possibility of absorbing the soul beast soul ring that had been around for 800 years. However, the death of the diamond tiger was too suffocating, making people forcefully smash it to death. Moreover, Jiang Hai only had brute force, so he couldn't directly smash the diamond tiger in one go. Instead, he cut his flesh thousands of times like a blunt knife. This death method was no less than Ling Qi, and the resentment of the diamond tiger was almost condensed into substance. Even if the soul lord were to absorb it, such a soul ring was full of danger. The bronze coffin lay on the ground, and the river and sea gasped for breath. He could indeed be considered a natural divine power, and his father's strength was also great. Otherwise, it would not have been possible to carry the coffin and gather corpses everywhere every day. However, his strength was so great that the fundamental reason was still the ability of the martial soul. Just like cats are born to catch mice, swords can kill, flames can burn everything, and the ability of soul masters comes not only from the soul skills bestowed by soul rings, but also from the attributes and abilities of martial souls themselves. And the bronze coffins of Jiang Hai seemed to have more than just the ability to restrain corpses. After a while, Jiang Hai regained some strength and said, "Sister Xian, I know, but I am confident. Don't forget what my martial soul is. Coffin, people all think that it can restrain the dead and is an unknown weapon, but there is nourishment in life and a return in death. Coffin can protect the dead, isolate life and death, only resentment, evil energy, and residual souls naturally won't affect me, who has a bronze coffin martial soul. Rest assured. People all know that coffins are unknown, but Jiang Hai believes that coffins are the first-class auspicious tools in the world. Who in the world does not die and who does not need coffins? There is life and death, this is the way of the world, and coffins are the true tools. At this moment, Jiang Hai's body bloomed with a warm and heartwarming temperament like the sunshine of early snow. Zhang Lishuan also felt for the first time that she might have misunderstood Jiang Hai. Perhaps she really had a certain prejudice against the coffin. Who said that the martial soul is the soul master of the coffin and will definitely follow the path of an evil soul master in the future? At this moment, the last bit of prejudice against Jiang Hai had also disappeared from her heart. Jiang Hai dragged the bronze coffin to the face of the corpse of King Kong Tiger. The bronze coffin opened and a faint figure could be seen inside the coffin. However, in the next moment, the body of King Kong Tiger had already flown into the coffin, and the coffin was once again closed. Life has its nourishment, death has its return. Although you are just a soul beast, death is great. Let me treat this coffin as your place of return. Jiang Hai silently recited and immediately sat cross-legged, holding his breath and concentrating. A surging force surged out of the bronze coffin and swam through his body. With the filtering of the martial soul bronze coffin, this power becomes softer and more suitable for the rivers and seas to absorb. What a mysterious martial soul! Seeing this scene, Zhang Lishuan's eyes also changed. Ordinary soul masters fuse soul rings by using martial souls to pull the energy in the soul rings and fuse with themselves. Some special energy that cannot be fused will become soul rings and soul skills hovering around the soul master, while another part of the energy will be absorbed by the soul master, breaking through the bottleneck of soul power. However, soul beasts have a strong physique, and the soul power they cultivate is also more irritable. Soul masters face the ability to absorb the soul power in the soul ring, which is why there is danger. However, the martial soul of Jiang Hai directly filters out the irritable soul power for him, making the absorbed soul power more gentle. This way, the limit of the soul ring that he can withstand will be higher, and the benefits of integrating the soul ring will also be higher. Is this the strength of mutated martial souls? Zhang's martial soul is a wooden coffin, while Jiang Hai's martial soul has turned into a bronze coffin. Zhang Lishuan knew that Jiang Hai's martial soul was a mutated one, but Jiang Hai's innate soul power was only half-level, which made Zhang Lishuan feel that even if Jiang Hai's martial soul was only a mutated one, the degree of mutation was not high, but now she couldn't be certain. The mutation of the mutated martial soul can be continuously improved through various opportunities. Could it be that in the past 3 years, he has encountered some adventures that have made his martial soul mutation more perfect? That's why he only cultivated to level 10 in just 3 years. It must be like this. Zhang Lishuan seemed to have figured something out, and her gaze towards Jiang Hai became even more eager. If you say that, his innate soul power cannot be simply calculated at half level. No, this genius must come to our Shrek Academy. Whatever you say, I will keep him at our Shrek Academy. Zhang Lishuan's thoughts were not clear to Jiang Hai. He was holding his breath and meditating with all his might, refining the energy surging from the bronze coffin. Although the bronze coffin filters out energy once, making it purer and softer, the total energy of the diamond tiger will not change. Refining so much energy still makes it a bit difficult for the river and sea. At the same time, inside the bronze coffin, the power of the soul ring above the corpse of the diamond tiger was constantly dissipating, and the soul ring became faintly visible. However, a deep yellow soul ring on the outer side of the Jiang Hai body became increasingly bright. In an unseen place, a golden left arm bone condensed inside the body of the King Kong tiger, but after a while, both the body and soul bone of the King Kong tiger began to gradually melt into a golden liquid. Between the liquid flows, a small golden coffin just like the bronze coffin began to condense into shape. After an hour, the body and soul ring of the Vajra tiger disappeared, replaced by the yellow centenary soul ring surrounding the Jianghai body and the golden coffin inside the bronze coffin. At the moment when the golden coffin condensed into shape, the opening of the coffin opened, and a corpse that was silent inside the bronze coffin automatically flew into the golden coffin. Twinkles of golden light poured into the golden coffin from the corpse, and a part of it also melted into the body of the river and sea. At the same time, the bronze coffin is also devouring a part of the power in the corpse, merging into the bronze coffin, and a part is feedback to Jianghai. This is the reason for the rapid growth of soul power and physical fitness in Jianghai. Jianghai took a deep breath, his soul ring completely stabilized, his wound healed, and his breath became even more concentrated. Successfully. Zhang Lishuan exclaimed with joy. Success, thank you, Sister Xian. Jianghai said. This is all your own ability, and you killed the diamond tiger yourself. I didn't do anything to help, so you don't have to thank me. Zhang Lishuan felt a bit embarrassed. It seemed like she didn't do anything. The diamond tiger was killed by Jianghai himself, and the soul ring was only fused by him. It seemed like there was nothing wrong with her. She just accompanied Jianghai on a trip. Jianghai shook his head. It was the greatest kindness for Zhang Lishuan to accompany him to the Star Forest. The Star Forest is not a safe place. Without Zhang Lishuan, if he had encountered a more powerful soul beast or a human with ulterior motives, his trip would never have been so smooth. Moreover, it was Zhang Lishuan's protector that enabled him to focus on absorbing soul rings and successfully evolving his martial soul. At the moment when the golden coffin condensed, Jianghai already knew, after all, the golden coffin was also a part of his martial soul. Legend has it that there is a nine-fold coffin in mythology, and a golden coffin was born again from his bronze coffin and martial soul, resembling the nine-fold coffin in mythological legends. I don't know what the key was to the birth of the golden coffin. I seem to have seen a soul bone appearing inside the body of the diamond tiger. Is it a soul bone, or just a simple soul beast corpse? If it were the latter, it would be great. Perhaps every time I merge soul rings, I can give birth to a coffin. In the future, the martial soul may really become a nine-fold coffin or even a 10-fold coffin. Jianghai was a little lost in thought. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. First Soul Skill. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 First Soul Skill. By the way, what is the effect of your first soul skill? Zhang Lishuan asked curiously. She also wanted to know what skill such a unique martial soul would possess after absorbing the 800-year-old diamond tiger in the first soul ring. The 800-year-old diamond tiger with the blood of the royal family should have a soul ring effect that is not inferior to the soul skills of the Millennium Soul Ring. Jianghai also regained his senses, and after some enlightenment, he didn't have anything to hide and directly used his first soul skill. Diamond Body. Jianghai let out a low cry, and his yellow body suddenly lit up with a bright yellow light. The golden coffin in the bronze coffin released strands of golden light, and then the golden light quickly swept through Jianghai's entire body. His exposed skin turned completely golden, as if it had been poured with gold. My first soul skill is called Diamond Body. As the name suggests, it inherits the powerful defense of the diamond tiger, with bones like glass and a body like diamond. My body's resistance and endurance have significantly improved, and my strength has also increased by about 10%. If it weren't for intense battles, my soul power could last for about half an hour. As Jianghai spoke, he clenched his fist and blasted out a loud roar in the air, indicating his immense strength. Zhang Lishuan can also feel the increase in Jianghai's power. Although Jianghai said that the first soul skill can only increase his power by 10%, Zhang Lishuan will not forget Jianghai's own divine power. Even if it is only a 10% increase in power, it is extremely huge for him. Moreover, the refining of the soul ring on his body makes it difficult for Zhang Lishuan to estimate how much Jianghai's power is now, and how unimaginable the 10% increase will be. And more importantly, the main defense of the diamond body is the powerful Jiang Hai. Zhang Lishuan can imagine the scene of Jiang Hai carrying a large coffin and smashing people with endless force and impenetrable weapons. A very powerful soul skill, although it is only a century-old soul skill, it can already be used as a general millennium soul skill, and the benefits brought to you by the 800-year-old diamond tiger are definitely more than that. If I guess correctly, your current soul power is definitely not as simple as level 11. You may have reached level 12 or even 13. Your martial soul awakened too late and started very low. The soul power improvement brought by the over-aged soul ring can help you quickly make up for the gap between you and your peers' soul masters. Zhang Lishuan nodded and looked at Jiang Hai with a smile, asking, Jiang Hai, has your martial soul evolved once now? Jiang Hai was taken aback for a moment, and Zhang Lishuan knew about the evolution of his martial soul. The condensation of the golden coffin is inside the bronze coffin. How did Zhang Lishuan know? So, everything in the bronze coffin. Seeing Jiang Hai's stunned expression, Zhang Lishuan chuckled and said, you little guy, you're a little devil. I helped you awaken your martial soul. What are you still afraid of? It's actually easy to understand. Your innate soul power is only half a level, and you can cultivate it to level 10 in 3 years. Moreover, your martial soul is so mysterious. Is there any other possibility besides the evolution of martial soul? Generally speaking, the starting point of mutated martial soul may be lower than many powerful martial souls, but as long as the soul master persistently cultivates, sooner or later it will evolve to be more perfect, no worse than any top-level martial soul. As Jiang Hai breathed a sigh of relief in her heart, Zhang Lishuan's expression also became more formal. She said solemnly, Jiang Hai, although your martial soul is good, the cultivation of your martial soul needs to be taught by the teacher, and hunting soul rings is not something that one person can do. This time, although you coincidentally obtained the soul ring of the diamond tiger, your situation must go beyond the limit of fusing soul rings. The older the soul beast is, the more dangerous it is. The later you go, the harder it is to get the soul ring that suits you. At this time, joining a powerful force is crucial. And the cultivation of soul masters is crucial to the academy, and there is no better martial soul cultivation on the mainland than Shrek Academy. Shrek Academy is full of experts, and there are no less than 10 powerful individuals with the title of Doluo. I was able to reach the realm of Soul Doluo at the age of 26 thanks to Shrek Academy's teachings. On behalf of Shrek Academy, I formally invite you to join Shrek Academy and become a member of Shrek Academy. Shrek Academy. If Shrek College was just an unknown elementary school 10,000 years ago, now Shrek College is undoubtedly the first college in the mainland, with top-notch faculty and teaching resources. It can be said that 70% of the top soul teachers in the mainland come from Shrek College, which shows the strength of Shrek College. Zhang Lishuan saw Jiang Hai's calm demeanor and continued, Jiang Hai, if you're just an ordinary martial soul, I don't actually recommend you go to Shrek Academy. People with only half a level of innate soul power in Shrek Academy, where geniuses gather, are not a good thing, but your own talents are very strong. Only in Shrek Academy can your talents be fully tapped and not wasted. I know you still have a bit of resentment towards Shrek Academy in your heart, but 3 years ago, Shrek didn't do anything wrong either. The evil soul master was rampant and his life was ruined, while your father's martial soul was special. Moreover, even if we didn't choose to take action, with the cruelty of the evil soul master, your father's ending was likely to be the same. As for the Lord of Pinghai City, after I reported the incident, the Shrek Inspectorate also issued a supervision task. After all, he was personally appointed as the Lord of a city by the Star Luo Empire and the Soul Lord. There was no reasonable process, and I couldn't directly capture him. However, when the Shrek Academy Inspectorate arrived later, the person had already disappeared, and Shrek Academy had been tracking his information for years. I'm not saying so much to explain anything for anyone, I just hope you can think carefully. I believe that if your father is still alive, you don't want to live in hatred and prejudice all the time. Let go of hatred, you will live better. Zhang Lishuan was really unwilling, and Jiang Hai embarked on a path of paranoia. Although she didn't have much contact with this young man, Zhang Lishuan could feel the loneliness in his heart, and it was precisely because of this that Zhang Lishuan didn't want him to take the wrong path. Jiang Hai glanced at the stunning white-clad woman in front of him, and for the first time, he felt the only trace of kindness left in the world from her. He couldn't bear it and said, "Okay, I will give it a try." Jiang Hai nodded in agreement, and Zhang Lishuan's mood improved a lot. She smiled and said, "I am now the senior sister of Shrek College's inner courtyard. Maybe you will also join the inner courtyard soon, and then I will be your senior sister." Jiang Hai nodded silently, but couldn't laugh in his heart. If judged by Shrek Academy, perhaps he is also a true evil soul master. The Lord of Pinghai City, Lin Yutian, a soul master approaching level 40, is currently in the golden coffin of Jiang Hai. After learning about Shrek Academy, Lin Yutian did want to escape, but he underestimated a person's revenge and also underestimated Jiang Hai's ability. He never imagined that he would eventually die at the hands of a child who was not even a soul master. It was precisely after killing Lin Yutian that Jiang Hai's soul power and power rapidly advanced, and he cultivated to level 10 soul warriors in just 3 years. Zhang Lishuan couldn't see the body of Lin Yutian in Jiang Hai martial soul, but it doesn't mean that the group of title Dolua and even Super Dolua from Shrek Academy couldn't see it. So, the reason why Jiang Hai is unwilling to go to Shrek College is precisely that. Moreover, even if they couldn't see it, Jiang Hai's martial soul had already decided. After all, his life was accompanied by blood and killing, and Shrek Academy had too many restrictions on him. However, facing Zhang Lishuan, he couldn't refuse this person who was good to him. Jiang Hai sighed in his heart, perhaps he could only find a reason to leave after he went to Shrek College. The two of them walked along the way towards Shrek College. As the two walked, Zhang Lishuan was also talking to Jiang Hai about many things about Shrek College, even though many of them were widely circulated and well-known. Since the day when the Soul Beast King appeared in the Star Forest, Shrek Academy has moved to a location not far from the Star Forest and built a Shrek Academy, cutting off the throat of the Soul Beasts advancing towards the human world. Shrek Academy will not be destroyed for a day, and the army of Soul Beasts will find it difficult to break through Shrek's defenses, threatening billions of people behind Shrek Academy. No matter how much trouble the first generation of Shrek students left for Dolua Continent, Shrek Academy has always adhered to its original intention and guarded this land. Suddenly, Zhang Lishuan and Jiang Hai stopped. "There are people ahead, should we avoid them?" Jiang Hai asked. In the Star Forest, even on the outskirts, encountering humans is sometimes not a good thing. Although the Soul Master world today is not as chaotic as it was 10,000 years ago, with the law of the jungle and the law of the fittest. However, in the Starry Forest, human beings are rarely seen, and all evil can be perfectly hidden in this forest. The ugliness in human hearts is still constantly unfolding. So, in the Star Forest, when encountering humans, the first choice is to avoid them. No need. Zhang Lishuan's eyes lit up with a hint of joy, then she shook her head with a complex expression and said, "Acquaintance." Jiang Hai asked, but immediately thought of something and withdrew what he wanted to say. "Do we need to go find them? Who else is there besides that group of people who are now appearing on the outskirts of the Starry Forest and causing Zhang Lishuan to show such a complex expression?" Zhang Lishuan's expression returned to normal and she said, "No need, it's just right. The people from the sect I wanted you to join before are also here. After all, you're already very old, and with their help, it would be easier for you to join Shrek Academy. Let's go, I'll take you to see them." Sure enough, it was them. Jiang Hai sighed in his heart and followed Zhang Lishuan over. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Tangmen. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 Tangmen. On the outskirts of the starry forest, a 15 or 16-year-old girl sat cross-legged on the ground, with a dead snake beside her, surrounded by a mess, indicating that there had been a fierce battle before. If someone sees this big snake, it is not difficult to recognize that it is a mandala snake that has reached 1,000 years of age. The ability to fuse millennium-old mandala snake soul rings usually indicates that soul power has reached level 30. The young girl in front of me appears to be only about 15 years old and has reached the level of 30 Soul Lord. Her talent is already outstanding. Not far from the girl's side, a tall and handsome boy about the same age stood together with another thin and weak boy, chatting and protecting the girl. "Senior brother, it seems that someone has come over," the thin and weak boy suddenly said. "Someone?" Bebe also felt the arrival at this moment and was surprised that Yuhao, a soul master, had sensed the approach of outsiders before him. He glanced at Tanya, who was fusing a 1,000-year-old mandala snake, and his face was solemn. He immediately summoned the blue electric Tyrannosaurus Rex martial soul, and blue lightning gathered on his body. This is exactly the group led by Bebe Tangia. Spiritual detection, spiritual sharing. Yuhao immediately used his two newly acquired soul skills to share his spiritual detection ability with Bebe. With the blessing of Yuhao's soul skills, Bebe can immediately see further and have a clearer sense of everything around him. The first person to appear in Bebe's eyes was a young man in hemp clothes. The boy had a calm complexion, and although his facial features were not particularly attractive, he was also a middle-class person. His dark eyes were bright and lively. Ma Yi's right arm was stained with blood, but there was no trace of fatigue in his mind. Fortunately, it's just a great soul master or a soul master in the realm of soul masters. Bebe breathed a sigh of relief. If it were just a low-level soul master, he really wouldn't be afraid. That's right, after all, this place is just surrounded by the star forest, and it's normal for low-level soul masters to appear. They found us. Jiang Haidao. Zhang Lishuan nodded and said softly, "Let's go." The boy with blue lightning shining on his body is also a genius in our Shrek Academy. You should have heard of the top beast soul in the mainland, the blue electric Tyrannosaurus Rex. Jiang Haidao said, "I definitely know about the martial soul of blue electric Tyrannosaurus Rex. Legend has it that in the era Tang San experienced 10,000 years ago, blue electric Tyrannosaurus Rex had the title of the world's top beast martial soul. The blue electric Tyrannosaurus Rex family is also one of the top 3 major sects in the mainland. It seems that one of the founders of Shrek Academy is from the blue electric Tyrannosaurus Rex family." Zhang Lishuan nodded and continued, "That's right. Although the blue electric Tyrannosaurus Rex family was destroyed thousands of years ago, the descendants of the blue electric Tyrannosaurus Rex family from Shrek Academy have been passed down, and they have been the backbone of Shrek Academy throughout history. Now, the strong ones like the Sea God Needle from Shrek Academy are the ones passed down from the blue electric Tyrannosaurus Rex family. The blue electric Tyrannosaurus Rex martial soul, this kind of martial soul and this family, even after 10,000 years, will still shine brightly in Dolua continent. The dragon belongs to the martial soul and is not inferior in any era. Senior brother, there seems to be another person. Yuhao said with uncertainty. In his mental detection, there was no one else except for the young man in linen, but his spiritual eyes clearly saw a very beautiful and stunning woman next to him. Is there anyone else? Senior sister. Bebe suddenly froze, his expression relaxed, and he gently said to Yuhao beside him, "Yuhao, don't worry, the person here is the first genius of our Shrek Academy, Zhang Lishuan, the senior sister of the inner courtyard." Speaking, Bebe stepped forward and looked at Zhang Lishuan and Jiang Hai, who suddenly appeared, asking, "Senior sister, why are you also in the star forest?" At the same time, I couldn't help but secretly glance at the Jiang Hai beside Zhang Lishuan, curious about who the young man who appeared with the senior sister was. He has a good relationship with Zhang Lishuan. He knows that Zhang Lishuan has no other relatives or friends besides her classmates at Shrek College. So what is the relationship between this seemingly teenage boy and his senior sister? I'll help Jiang Hai obtain the first soul ring, Zhang Lishuan replied with a hint of complexity in her eyes. The first soul ring. Bei frowned and asked curiously, Senior sister, is this little brother your disciple? How can a person who looks not much younger than him just break through the soul master be related to the senior sister? Zhang Lishuan shook her head and said, No, I just fulfilled the promise I made earlier. Not to mention me, you came to the Star Forest to hunt the third soul ring for Tanya. The Millennium Mandala snake is quite suitable for her. Bei smiled and said, That's right, thanks to Yuhao this time. Without his assistance, we wouldn't have been able to help Tanya kill this mandala snake so smoothly. By the way, I haven't introduced you to senior sister yet. This is Yuhao, Yuhao, a mutated martial soul spirit eye with spiritual attributes. Although his first soul ring is a bit inferior, his soul skills are very strong. Tanya and I have already made him join the Tang clan and plan to give him the exemption spot given by Shrek Academy to the Tang clan. Maybe we will all be classmates in the future. Yuhao, this is our master sister in the inner courtyard. I'm only 25 years old this year, and I'm already a soul Doluo. Maybe there's a chance to break through to the realm of title Doluo before the age of 30. Soul Doluo. Yuhao naturally knew what the soul Doluo represented. The person in the Duke's mansion was also the soul Doluo realm, and most importantly, the master sister of Shrek Academy was only in her 20s. Yuhao respectfully said, Hello, senior sister. You have already given out the exemption quota for the Tang clan. Zhang Lishuan frowned. The mutated martial soul with spiritual attributes was also a rare talent. Moreover, judging from Bei's appearance, Yuhao had a deep relationship with them. In this case, Zhang Lishuan glanced at Jiang Hai and felt a headache. There is no interview spot for Tangmen. After all, Jiang Hai is too old and only has level 13 soul power. It is still too difficult to join Shrek Academy. The first criterion for Shrek's enrollment is that the age must be below 12 years old, and the number of soul rings must not be less than 2. This criterion was set by the first president of Shrek College and cannot be changed by anyone. If it were for next year, Jiang Hai would be over 12 years old and the interview quota would not be available. Shrek College does not cultivate mediocrity. Hello, Yuhao, how old are you this year? Zhang Lishuan asked. Bei's face changed and he quickly said, Senior sister, Yuhao is also over 11 years old this year, and his first soul ring was only a 10-year soul ring. If it weren't for this exemption opportunity, he might not have been able to join Shrek Academy for the rest of his life, and Xiaoya has already accepted him. He is already a disciple of the Tang sect. Yes, senior sister, I am the leader of the Tang clan, and I the final say the exemption of the Tang clan. Since I have promised Xiao Yuhao, I will not change. Tanya also stood up, standing in front of Yuhao as a protector of the calf, looking at Zhang Lishuan. Xiaoya, you succeeded. Bei exclaimed with joy. Tanya glared at Bei and said, Call me teacher. If I don't succeed again, why don't you give Xiao Yuhao's spot to outsiders? With me here, no one can bully Xiao Yuhao. Everyone knows who Tanya's tone is targeting. Yuhao felt a touch of emotion in his heart. Although he also wanted to join Shrek Academy, he didn't want Tanya to be in a difficult position. Yuhao had been excluded from his childhood and was more mature than his peers. He knew what a soul Doluo in his 20s represented. Tanya and her Tang clan offended such a young soul Doluo, and even the future title Doluo. Tang clan, which was already not wealthy, must have made things worse. He spoke up and said, Teacher Tanya, why not give Shrek spot to this big brother? I can also practice in Tang clan. No, Xiao Yuhao, do you know that your starting point is lower than others? If you lose the chance of Shrek College, you will never get ahead in your life. Don't worry, I am the leader of the Tang clan, and no one can take your things with me. Tanya said firmly, a little distressed. Zhang Lishuan gave a bitter smile and said, "You misunderstood. I didn't mean that, and I didn't mean to compete with Tangmen for anything. I know it's difficult for Tangmen. Jiang Hai is alone and helpless. Although he started a bit lower than others, he is definitely one of the most talented soul masters I have ever seen. I brought him here to join Tangmen and perhaps he can provide all the help for revitalizing Tangmen." Tanya glanced at Zhang Lishuan with some suspicion and said, "Do you have such kindness?" Upon hearing this, Beibei was also very curious. He knew about Zhang Lishuan, who never lied. Beibei couldn't help but ask, "Jiang Hai brothers should be quite old, right?" 11. Jiang Hai replied calmly. "What about the little brother's soul power?" Level 13, Strong Attack Soul Master. Jiang Hai had nothing to hide. 11 years old and only 13 levels. Tanya couldn't help but repeat when she heard Jiang Hai's answer. "That's right." Jiang Hai's face remained calm, unable to see anything, and he replied again. "Xiaoyao." Beibei scolded Tanya and said, "Since Jiang Hai is someone that senior sister values, there must be something outstanding about him. So, on behalf of the Tang sect, I invite Jiang Hai to join our sect. How about that? Senior sister should have told you about our Tangmen before. Although our Tangmen is now in decline, it is still a sect created by Tang San's predecessors, and the unique skills inherited by the sect are still there. Although Shrek Academy has given Yuhao the exemption quota for Tangmen, as long as you join our sect, I can recommend you to study at the Star Luo Royal Academy. I have some friendship with the Star Luo Empire royal family, and I can guarantee that the treatment you receive there will definitely not be worse than at Shrek Academy. Although the Star Luo Royal Academy is not as good as Shrek Academy, it can definitely be ranked among the top 3 colleges in the mainland." End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Hui Yuhao's Choice. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 Hui Yuhao's Choice. Although Beibei is only a disciple of Tanya and the senior brother of the Tang sect in name, his personality is mature and stable, and he is in charge of many affairs of the Tang sect. Indeed, as he said, Xingluo Royal College is one of the top 3 colleges in mainland China. On the mainland, only Shrek College and Sun Moon Royal College can surpass Star Royal College. Those who can enter Star Royal College are either rich or expensive. A spot in Star Royal College is definitely a great temptation for ordinary people. But when Zhang Lishuan heard Beibei's words, she secretly said something bad and said, "Jiang Hai, if you are willing to join Tangmen, you can also join, but what I promised will definitely not change. It's just a quota, and I can think of other ways. I can't force the Sea God Pavilion meeting and make an exception to join our Shrek Academy. Convene a meeting of the Sea God Pavilion." Beibei knows a lot more than Tanya, and knows how important the Sea God Pavilion Conference is. Every time the Sea God Pavilion Conference is held, it is related to the survival of Shrek Academy or the survival of the mainland. Zhang Lishuan actually said that because of the Sea God Pavilion Conference held by Jiang Hai, a level 13 soul master has passed away, and he is still so old. What extraordinary talents and abilities does he have that he doesn't know? Tanya had also heard of the Sea God Pavilion meeting and vaguely knew the importance of the Sea God Pavilion. He looked at Jiang Hai in disbelief. Jiang Hai shook his head and said with a bitter smile, "Sister Xian, I'm just an ordinary person. Why do I have to fight so hard because of me? I'm used to being wild, whether it's Shrek Academy or Tangmen, joining or not doesn't mean much to me." Zhang Lishuan glared at Jiang Hai and rubbed his head, saying, "You little slippery guy, what's good about the Sun and Moon Empire? You don't want to go to Shrek Academy, so you're determined to go to the Sun and Moon Empire, right? It's okay if Star Luo Royal Academy doesn't go, but you must go to Shrek Academy. If you don't go, I'll tie you to Shrek Academy too." "Okay." Jiang Hai nodded and said with a bitter smile, "I can go to Shrek Academy to see, but it doesn't matter if I can get into Shrek Academy. As for Tangmen, I'm weak and have little contribution to Tangmen's development, so I won't go. If you don't go, then don't go. Beibei just doesn't know about your dispute with the Star Luo Empire, and you don't have to generalize. There are still many righteous people in the Star Luo Empire. Zhang Lishuan sighed and said. Just agree to go to Shrek Academy. On the one hand, Zhang Lishuan doesn't want to see this young man who used to be similar to her go down the wrong path. On the other hand, she also doesn't want such a genius to go to the Sun and Moon Empire. Although the three kingdoms of the Sun and Moon Empire and the Dolua continent maintained peace, and Shrek Academy was also a neutral side, how could Shrek Academy really achieve a balance? Shrek Academy is still the Shrek Academy of the Dolua continent. 4,000 years ago, the Sun and Moon continent collided with the Dolua continent, and Shrek Academy led the three empires to defeat the Sun and Moon continent. Shrek Academy and the Sun and Moon Empire have always been in opposition. Is there a conflict between Brother Jianghai and the Star Luo Empire? Upon hearing Zhang Lishuan's words, Beibei also realized that she had said the wrong thing before. From Zhang Lishuan's words, Beibei also heard Zhang Lishuan's emphasis on Jianghai. If this really caused Tangmen to lose a genius, it would be his fault. Zhang Lishuan glanced at Beibei, sighed, and said, Jianghai is also from the Star Luo Empire. As soon as these words were spoken, the expressions of Beibei, Tangya, and Yuhao all changed. A person from the Star Luo Empire actually wants to go to the Sun and Moon Empire. Although Tangmen is in decline, not everyone can recruit them. Yuhao's father, after all, is the White Tiger Duke of the Star Luo Empire, with one person below and 10,000 people above. Although he hates that man, he does not hate the Star Luo Empire. After all, it is his motherland. Yuhao said, Brother Jianghai, since you are a member of the Star Luo Empire, the Star Luo Empire has raised you. And I heard that this generation of Emperor of the Star Luo Empire is also diligent in politics and deeply loved by the people. There should be a misunderstanding between you, right? Perhaps, Jianghai smiled and said, actually, I don't have any conflicts with the Star Luo Empire. Of course, I can't say anything about gratitude or favor. And perhaps I am naturally free and used to it. I am not very fond of that set of loyal and patriotic ideas, and of course, I won't reject the Tang clan for a single sentence. After all, I am not someone who knows what the Star Luo Royal Academy represents to most soul masters. Brother Jianghai, the Star Luo Empire gave birth to us and raised us. Is there anything wrong with being loyal and serving the country? Yuhao still had some doubts. Jianghai chuckled and said, the heaven and earth who gave birth to me, and the parents who raised me, have nothing to do with the Star Luo Empire. June. All people in the world are born the same. 10,000 years ago, the current Star Luo royal family was Jun or Chen, and 10,000 years ago, they were Jun or Chen. Since that's the case, is he one head longer than me or what? Why should I be loyal to him? Jianghai looked at Yuhao and asked. Yuhao was speechless. Perhaps it was also the first time he had heard such a heinous statement, but he didn't know how to refute it. Zhang Lishuan said, I now know why you want to go to the Sun and Moon Empire. Indeed, there are also some people in the Sun and Moon Empire who propose to abolish the monarch and restore power to the people, which coincides with your words. It's just that we were born in this land, not to say we were born lower than anyone else, but it's only natural for us to uphold justice and maintain peace for all. The Sun and Moon Empire is ambitious and has always wanted to annex the world. Moreover, in recent years, the development of the Sun and Moon Empire has been accelerating. If there really is a day, it will definitely be a tragic scene. I know you still have resentment towards the Star Luo Empire, but if it really comes to that day, I hope you can think more for the innocent people in the world, and don't forget that your father was also a member of the world. Zhang Lishuan now increasingly feels that Jiang Hai is very dangerous, and if not guided correctly, what she does may exceed her imagination. After listening to Zhang Lishuan's words, Bei and others felt very reasonable. This was their understanding, but they also had some doubts. They speculated in their hearts that Jiang Hai may have conflicts with the Star Luo Empire, but they still had some prejudice against Jiang Hai. Zhang Lishuan sighed and said, "The martial soul of Jiang Hai was awakened by me 3 years ago." 3 years ago, wasn't he already 8 years old by then? Tangye said in surprise. Dolua continent, no one has awakened their martial soul since the age of 6. If they have soul power, they have been practicing since the age of 6. Jiang Hai awakened his martial soul at the age of 8, which means he started practicing at the age of 8, 2 years less than others. In this case, an 11-year-old level 13 soul master may not necessarily have much talent. Even Yuhao looked at Jiang Hai in surprise. This young man in linen, who was not much older than him, only started practicing at the age of 8. Isn't it 2 years less than himself? Although he was bullied in the Duke of White Tiger's mansion, his martial soul still awakened normally. Bei also felt that there was something wrong with it. Dolua continent, from ancient times to the present, has never had the reason to awaken its martial soul at the age of 8. Moreover, the martial soul of Jiang Hai was personally awakened by Zhang Lishuan, and there must be many stories he did not know about. Although senior sister Zhang Lishuan is kind, she will not idle to awaken the martial soul of an unfamiliar child. At this moment, Zhang Lishuan's face was also a bit cold as she said, 3 years ago, the Shrek Inspectorate issued an inspection mission about the lord of a city in the Star Luo Empire. Have you heard of it? Bei Dao said, I have an impression that he seems to be the lord of Pinghai City. That time, many teachers at Shrek College were furious. The dean of the Martial Soul Department at Shrek College, Dean Yen, even personally went to capture him. But later on, when I heard that Dean Yen went, that person had already disappeared. Wait, little brother Jiang Hai, are you related to that matter? Upon hearing Bei's words, Jiang Hai's eyes also sank into a trace of memories. Yen Xiaozhe, the dean of the Martial Soul Department at Shrek College, knows everything, right? At the age of 8, Bei awakened his martial soul and suddenly realized something. No wonder so many teachers at Shrek Academy were angry. Dean Yen even personally took action. The awakening of martial soul is the foundation of the rise of the Soul Master world. It is unknown how many teachers at Shrek Academy were born from the common people, and Dean Yen also came from the common people. The lord of Pinghai City is so bold that he dares to make any moves on this. Zhang Lishuan sighed and spoke coldly, the lord of Pinghai City, Lin Yutian, is audacious and corrupt. He has collected martial soul awakening fees from ordinary civilians. He deserves to be killed, damn it. Interference with the awakening of martial souls is something that no one can tolerate. After this incident, Shrek Academy was also extremely angry, and the 3 empires were unable to calm down. They searched their subordinate cities overnight. However, what Shrek Academy can do is only make up for it afterwards. No one knows how many people like Jiang Hai still exist in the entire Dolua continent. Moreover, this matter is of great significance and may even affect the hearts of the 3 empires, so Shrek College and the 3 empires had to cover up this matter, so even Bibi did not know the inside story of this matter. Just that time, countless officials from the 3 empires were imprisoned. I didn't expect this incident to happen to brother Jiang Hai. Don't worry, brother Jiang Hai. Whether you join Tangmen or not, I will do my best to help you with joining Shrek Academy. Bibi assured. Teacher Tangye, senior brother, let me give my quota to brother Jiang Hai. He has been practicing less than me for 2 years and needs this opportunity more than me. Yuhao thought for a moment before finally speaking up. Hello, Xiao Yuhao, you need to think carefully. Shrek College is the first college in mainland China. If you join Shrek College, your future will be much easier, said Tianmeng, ice silkworm of Yuhao's Sea of Consciousness. I know, brother Tianmeng, but brother Jianghai is really pitiful. He has 2 less years of cultivation than me, and I also have your help, brother Tianmeng. The second martial soul I have is much luckier than brother Jianghai from anywhere. Isn't it Shrek Academy? I can practice alone. Yuhao said. Tianmeng exclaimed, how can it be said that practicing on your own is the same as going to Shrek Academy? Heavenly Dream brother, I have already made a decision. Yuhao stubbornly said. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. The Power of the Golden Coffin. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. The Power of the Golden Coffin. Tianmeng knew that Yuhao was very stubborn. He nodded helplessly and said, okay, who made me choose you, this kind little guy? Thank you, brother Tianmeng. Yuhao smiled. On the other hand, Tangye hesitated a bit and said, but what should Yuhao do? His first soul ring is only a 10-year soul ring. If he loses this opportunity, he will definitely not be able to enter Shrek Academy. Jianghai spoke up and said, actually, the Royal Academy of Sun and Moon is also quite good. I also quite like soul guides. Shut up. Zhang Lishuan glared at Jianghai and said, don't worry, I'll come up with a solution for Jianghai's quota. Don't worry about it anymore. Also, please calm down a bit for me. If you want to be your sister or me, you should talk less about going to the Sun and Moon Empire. But you're not my sister from the beginning. Jianghai spoke weakly. What are you saying? Zhang Lishuan stared fiercely at Jianghai. A powerful man cannot be defeated. Forget it, let's be defeated for a while. Jianghai glanced at Zhang Lishuan and said, Sister Xian, I was wrong. That's right, let's go back to Shrek College. 5 people gathered and headed west. Shrek College is located in the northwest direction of the Star Forest, while the soul beasts in the south of the Star Forest are relatively weaker, so Beibei was surprised to see Zhang Lishuan in the south. With Zhang Lishuan by their side, the speed of the group also increased significantly. However, Shrek College is far away, and even with Zhang Lishuan, it is impossible to walk to Shrek College in a day, and the previous few people had also been delayed for too long in the Starry Forest. As night fell, even Zhang Lishuan didn't want to rush on. Although her martial soul was not afraid of the night, and even the darker the night, the stronger her strength would be. But most of the powerful soul beasts in the Starry Forest are active at night, and their vision is not good at night. Zhang Lishuan is also not confident in protecting all of them, especially Jianghai and Yuhao. At the end of the day, Zhang Lishuan also gained a certain understanding of Yuhao and found that his potential may not necessarily be lower than that of Jianghai. Moreover, he had a very good personality. Even she had to admit that Tangye and the others had really found a treasure. Although Yuhao's first skill was not very helpful to her, she could cross a range of 20 meters in just one thought, and her own mental strength was not inferior to mental detection. However, this skill can still evolve, which would be a terrifying skill. Even Zhang Lishuan felt that it was even stronger than the soul skill that Jianghai had obtained from the 800-year-old Diamond Tiger. Of course, Jianghai of the same rank met Yuhao, and Jianghai could even single-handedly hit the current Yuhao. The power of Jianghai is really terrifying. With the blessing of the Vajra body, an ordinary great soul master may not necessarily be his opponent. While resting, Beibei planned to guide Yuhao in practicing the unique skills of the Tang clan. He glanced at Jianghai and couldn't help but say again, Jianghai, do you really not want to join our Tang clan? Although the Tang clan has declined, the foundation of the Tang clan is still there. The 6 major unique skills of the Tang clan, including the Shantian skill, the Xuanyu hand, the purple extreme magic eyes, the light body method, the ghost shadow mistake, the method of controlling cranes and capturing dragons, and the secret weapon method, have all been passed down. All of them are unparalleled skills of the time. As she spoke, Bebe glanced at Tanya with a hint of love in her eyes and said, "Actually, I didn't really want to join the Tang sect at first, but after joining the Tang sect, I felt the profound heritage of the Tang sect. You started later than the average person, and with the help of Tang sect's unique skills, it will also be beneficial for your future cultivation. Bebe, thank you for your kindness, but I really don't have the idea of joining a sect right now. If one day I want to join any sect, I will definitely consider the Tang sect first." Jiang Haidao. Bebe sighed and said, "Okay, but you can consider it carefully. When I teach you how, you can also take a look. But one thing to remember is that if you haven't joined the Tang sect, you can never steal the Tang sect's unique skills. Otherwise, our Tang sect will definitely be at odds with you." Jiang Hai nodded with a smile. Tang sect's unique skills were indeed good, but they were mostly exquisite techniques. Jiang Hai followed the path of opening and closing with great force to break the law. Should he learn Tang sect's hidden weapons and then throw coffins and smash people? It's no different from me swinging the coffin and smashing people myself. Since that's the case, what's the use of wasting that time stealing Tang sect's unique skills? Even the most essential Shantian skill of the Tang clan is an authentic Taoist internal skill. Bebe and his team do not know what the Taoist sect is, and Jiang Hai from another world is not yet clear about it. The Taoist internal skill is peaceful, and it is best to supplement his cultivation with the Taoist classic peaceful state of mind. However, Jiang Hai's inner strength is as fierce as fire, jealous of evil as hatred, and the Taoist internal skill is not suitable for him. By the way, Bebe, you said that all the unique skills of the Tang sect have been passed down, and the two great skills of Guanyin Tears and Bodhi Blood have also been passed down. Jiang Hai asked curiously. Among the Tang sect's unique skills, the only ones that truly appeal to the rivers and seas are the two legendary skills of Guanyin Tears and Bodhi Blood. Guanyin Tears, Bodhi Blood. Bebe was stunned and asked in confusion, do these two great skills exist in the Tang sect? Yes. Tanya walked over with a complex expression, affirming. Bebe looked at Tanya and asked, Xiaoya, I have been with Tangmen for so long. How come I have never heard of you saying that Tangmen still have these two unique skills? Tanya shook his head and said, the reason why you don't know is very simple. The two great skills of Guanyin Tears and Bodhi Blood, including the legendary Buddha Anger Tang Lotus and Peacock Feather, have all been lost. Of course, there is also a saying in the Tang sect that Tang San's ancestors did not keep these rare skills. After all, the Peacock Feather is now comparable to a 7th level soul guide, and the Buddha Anger Tang Lotus is even more comparable to an 8th level soul guide. As for Bodhi Blood and Guanyin Tears, Tang San almost killed the god with these two great skills before becoming a god. Guanyin Tears and Bodhi Blood are only known by Tang sect leaders throughout history. I'm curious, where did you learn about these two great skills? Tanya looked at Jiang Hai and asked curiously. I can't remember clearly either, it seems like I saw it from a book, Jiang Hai replied. What book? Tanya asked, is there any other inheritance passed down by the three ancestors of Tang? I don't know, who remembers? It's been so long, but just a quick glance, I only remember the names of Guanyin Tears and Bodhi Blood. I happened to meet people from your Tang sect this time, just curious to ask. Jiang Hai replied. Yuhao asked curiously, Teacher Tanya, is there really a god in this world? Tanya felt a bit regretful, but still said with certainty, of course there is. The three ancestors of Tang are divine. Yuhao said regretfully, if only the divine skills of Guanyin Tears and Bodhi Blood had been passed down, then our Tang sect would not have declined. How terrifying it would be to just click on the skill to kill the gods. Tanya's eyes also flashed with a sense of desolation. Yes, there is no need for Guanyin Tears and Bodhi Blood. As long as the anger of the Buddha, Tang Lian, Peacock Feather, and others are passed down, the Tang clan will not decline to this extent. Bei took a deep breath and said, Xiaoya, Yuhao, even without these legendary skills, I believe that with our strength, one day we will make the name of the Tang clan resound throughout the continent. That's right, teacher Tangya. We will work hard to revitalize Tangmen. Hui Yuhao also said. Tangya smiled and said, okay, let's work together. You guys talk, I'll take a step first. Jiang Hai smiled and walked aside, not caring about the affairs of the Tang clan. With Hui Yuhao, the son of fate, the Tang clan would revive again sooner or later. Unfortunately, Tang San did not pass on the Guanyin tears and Bodhi blood skills. Guanyin has tears make all beings suffer. The skills of his past life have become a masterpiece in this world, but what could he bring to this world, just an ordinary person in his past life? After a chaotic thought, Jiang Hai shook his head and his mind moved. The bronze coffin of the martial soul had already appeared in front of him, with a tree beside him. The rusty copper rust obscured the radiance of the martial soul, and to anyone's eyes, it looked like an ancient coffin buried underground for many years. Jiang Hai opened the ancient coffin and walked inside, revealing a faint golden glow. Zhang Lishuan glanced over and saw that the bronze coffin was closed, and the figure of Jiang Hai had completely disappeared into it. The bronze coffin used to be only about 1 zhang long, but the soul power of the river and sea broke through, and the bronze coffin also grew to 1 zhang 3. But when he walked into the bronze coffin, the space of the bronze coffin was unexpectedly large, 10 times larger than that outside. In the dark space, an identical gold coffin lay in the center of the bronze coffin, emitting a faint golden light. When Jiang Hai's mind was moved, the golden coffin was opened. The space was exactly the same as that of the bronze coffin. There was nothing but a corpse. Jiang Hai closed the golden coffin and sat on top of it, starting to think. The awakening of the bronze coffin martial soul gave him the first ability to devour the power and soul power of the sealed corpses inside. He travels around the world and does not spend a long time practicing every day, but his soul power grows rapidly, which is why he comes here. Of course, the reason why he does not practice often is also because his own cultivation speed is too slow. If he were to practice on his own, even if he practiced day and night, his soul power could reach level 5 and even reach the sky. Similarly, it is the ability of the bronze coffin to devour the power of Lin Yutian that has led to such a terrifying increase in his strength. The bronze coffin has given me strength and soul power. What is the ability of the golden coffin? Murmured Jiang Hai to himself. Sitting on the golden coffin, Jiang Hai quietly felt the power seeping from it. My soul power has grown faster, twice as fast as before. It seems that soul power growth is an inherent ability of every coffin. So what is another ability? Spiritual power. Sitting on the golden coffin, Jiang Hai did feel more alert and discerning. It was spiritual power, not just a simple spiritual power, but more like intelligence. The golden coffin has increased his intelligence. Intelligence is a mysterious force, but it has greatly helped the rivers and seas. The growth of intelligence has made many vague memories in his mind clearer and clearer. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Shrek College. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Shrek College. Bronze coffins can strengthen his strength, while gold coffins can enhance his intelligence. Jiang Hai is becoming increasingly curious about his martial soul, although its development direction is becoming more and more like that of an evil soul master, refining the soul power, strength, and intelligence within the corpse. The stronger the martial soul, the more cautious the river and sea become. The sudden increase in power, if not restrained by enough willpower, is also a dangerous thing for himself. The golden coffin brought him intellectual growth and also allowed Jiang Hai to have a deeper understanding of his own situation, avoiding going astray. A practitioner, in the early morning, Jiang Hai walked out of the bronze coffin. With a thought, the martial soul bronze coffin also disappeared by his side. Zhang Lishuan furrowed her brows and said, "If it's not necessary, it's better for you to communicate more with people. A young man living in a gloomy coffin every day makes your personality become withdrawn. Jiang Hai gave a bitter smile and said, Sister Xian, isn't it so serious? Besides, practicing in the martial soul will also make my cultivation speed faster. I also want to see if I can break through level 15 before registering for Shrek Academy, so maybe I can directly enter Shrek Academy with my own strength. Since Jiang Hai has decided to go to Shrek College first, he will naturally strive in this direction. Moreover, Jiang Hai is naturally someone who doesn't like to trouble others. Zhang Lishuan's repeated help is already the end of his life. Since that's the case, the best thing he can do is to join Shrek College with his own abilities. The current Shrek Academy is indeed the undisputed first academy on the mainland, but its strength is still too weak. After practicing at Shrek Academy for a period of time, it will be the same if you go to the Sun and Moon Empire. It's no big deal not to go to the inner courtyard. After 6 years, he happens to be 18 years old, and in his previous life, he was considered an adult. At this time, it's not too late to go to the Sun and Moon Empire again. And the body of Lin Yutian, Jiang Hai can only hope that the bronze and gold coffins can deceive the top existence of Shrek Academy. Zhang Lishuan, who was already close to the realm of being titled Dolua, did not see through the reality of the bronze coffin, and the people of Shrek Academy may not be able to see through either. But Jiang Hai has already decided that at Shrek College, he will never reveal his golden coffin in front of anyone until absolutely necessary, and he will never open the golden coffin. Upon hearing Jiang Hai's words, Zhang Lishuan was somewhat relieved. This little guy finally stopped focusing solely on the Sun and Moon Empire. With his talent, going to the Sun and Moon Empire would make him useless. Shrek Academy was the most correct choice for him. The strange bronze coffin martial soul had various mysteries that she couldn't understand, innate divine power, paired with martial souls that could merge soul rings beyond the limit, and a tenacious heart. Jiang Hai's achievements were definitely not low. Zhang Lishuan had seen Jiang Hai carrying his father's coffin, walking step by step from Duhang City back to Pinghai City. Although Duhang City is a neighboring city of Pinghai City, it is also over 100 miles away, and the roads are rugged. An 8-year-old boy walked so far carrying a coffin weighing over 100 pounds, but did not cry out a word of pain. Zhang Lishuan's tone also calmed down. The path of cultivation is relaxed and relaxed. Shrek Academy is just starting in these few days, and you can't even work hard to cultivate to level 15 in just a few days. Don't worry, I am at least the senior sister of the inner courtyard and the youngest elder of the Sea God Pavilion. Believe me, I will let you enter Shrek Academy. Lu Xingchuan nodded, but he did not relax his soul power cultivation. The group walked for 4 days from the southern part of the Starry Forest to Shrek College. 4 days later, passing through a forest, Shrek College or Shrek City, standing on the immediate plain, appeared in front of the 5 people. 10,000 years have passed, and the families of the teachers and students of Shrek College, as well as the staff and merchants of the 3 empires, the original local residents have gathered together to build this magnificent city around Shrek College. Now, Shrek City has more than 2 million people living in it, making it one of the largest cities on the mainland. Zhang Lishuan explained with a smile. Her life has been spent in Shrek City, and the introduction is also full of pride. A city with a population of over 1 million may have been commonplace in its past life, but in this era, it is like a legend. Bebe also said, Shrek City is very prosperous. Due to its location at the border of the 3 kingdoms, there are a lot of merchants coming and going, and Shrek City has good security. It can be said that it gathers merchants from the 3 kingdoms, and you can buy anything you want. However, the general resources are not poor in the college. After you enter the college, you can usually solve most of the requirements in the college, and occasionally you can also visit Shrek City. Shrek City has 4 gates, with the south, north, and west gates open to everyone, except for the east gate which belongs exclusively to Shrek College. The group arrived at the east gate. Today happens to be the enrollment day for Shrek College. There are many people who come and go, and they are all young people who come to apply for Shrek College. There are also several young people stationed at the city gate, all of whom are young students of Shrek College. Rain Hao, little brother Jiang Hai, as I told you before, these days are when Shrek College is registering, so there are quite a few people. Rain Hao, little brother Jiang Hai, both of you can smoothly enter Shrek College and become new students this year without any accidents, which happens to be 3 years lower than me and Xiaoya. Ordinary candidates like these not only need to pass the assessment, but also need a recommendation letter from at least one of the main cities of the 3 empires. Beibei said. Senior brother, is Shrek's assessment difficult? Yuhao asked curiously. Beibei hesitated for a moment and looked at Tangya. Tang Yeshuang said quickly, he will know sooner or later, it's not a big deal to say, and maybe Jiang Hai will also participate in the assessment. The first criterion for the assessment at Shrek Academy is that the age must be less than 12 years old, and the soul power must be above level 15, and the first soul ring must be 100 years old. Just because of this, Yuhao, you are actually not up to standard. Although your first soul skill is indeed very powerful, after all, it is only a 10-year soul ring. Tang Yaden paused and continued, just now it was just a basic requirement, and there will be assessments such as cultivation of martial soul and soul power, practical combat, etc. in the future. The first few items are worth mentioning. With the development of martial soul to this level, almost few people do not know the direction of their own martial soul development. It is said that many soul masters did not have systematic teaching thousands of years ago, so they cannot develop martial soul reasonably, and have lost the opportunity to become a powerful soul master. The final requirement of Shrek College is practical combat, which is the most severe. 70% of the eliminated personnel have fallen through this level, and even if they enter Shrek College, there will be an assessment every 3 months, and the assessment requirements are also practical. If the assessment cannot pass, even if you are a special invited student, you will be kicked out of Shrek College, Yuhao. A teacher once said, at Shrek College, all paper data is pale, and only practical combat is the most important. Yuhao nodded and said firmly, Teacher Xiaoya and senior brother, maybe I can't compare to most of the students who have registered now, but I will definitely surpass most of them in the future. Good ambition, Yuhao. I believe you can do it. Brother Jiang Hai, you are the same. Although you started 2 years later than others, the life of a soul master is quite long. 2 years is just insignificant compared to life. You can catch up with most people in 3 years, and one day you can catch up with others. Beibei praised and encouraged Jiang Haidao. In the past few days, Jiang Hai's efforts have also been in his heart. Although he has not been studying Tang Sec's unique skills like Yuhao, he has never relaxed when it comes to cultivating. Thank you, Brother Beibei. I will. Although there may not be a freshman present who can play better than him, Beibei's words still make sense. However, he didn't slack off 3 years ago. What reason is there to slack off now? Zhang Lishuan is also aware of Jiang Hai's practical abilities. When it comes to practical combat, many sophomore students may not necessarily be his opponents. After all, second-grade seniors are at most just great soul masters. A soul master in the realm of a great soul master may not necessarily be able to defeat an 800-year-old diamond tiger soul beast with royal blood. Beibei, Tangya, please take care of Jiang Hai. I will go to the college to find the teacher in charge of this assessment and see if he can make an exception to let Jiang Hai participate in the assessment. If not, I will go find the dean again. Zhang Lishuan said. She mentioned the difficulties before, but that was only the most extreme situation. After all, if Jiang Hai really has the strength and talent, there is still hope for her to make an exception and participate in the assessment. Okay, senior sister, you go ahead. I'll take my junior brother to register and also take Jiang Hai brothers to visit Shrek Academy, said Beibei. Zhang Lishuan nodded and disappeared in place. Let's go too. Beibei also said. Shrek Admissions Office. A handsome middle-aged man lay leisurely on a rattan chair, closing his eyes and taking a nap. It could be seen that the middle-aged man must have been a handsome guy when he was young. Teacher Yan, are you responsible for this new student assessment? Zhang Lishuan breathed a sigh of relief when she saw the middle-aged man and asked. The person in front of me is the Dean of the Martial Soul Department at Shrek Academy, the 97th level Super Dolua, and the Mingfeng Dolua Yan Xiaozhe. Teacher Yan is gentle in his actions, elegant and gentle like a jade, making him one of the most talkative teachers among Shrek teachers. Zhang Lishuan was slightly surprised to see that it was Yan Xiaozhe who presided over this assessment, but also breathed a sigh of relief. It's Lishuan, what's up? Yan Xiaozhe opened his eyes and asked with a smile. He is a disciple of Mu En, and Zhang Lishuan can also be considered as Yan Xiaozhe's junior sister. Mu En is getting older, and Zhang Lishuan can be said to have been raised by Yan Xiaozhe. Zhang Lishuan wore a sweet smile on her face and said, Senior brother, if it's okay, can't I come to see you? Yan Xiaozhe smiled helplessly and said, You little girl, you didn't know before that I was in charge of this freshman assessment. Tell me, what's going on? If you don't tell me, I'll really think you're missing me. Come talk to me. Okay, I knew I couldn't hide anything from you. Zhang Lishuan smiled and said, Senior brother, this time I went out, I discovered a genius for our college. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Entrance Assessment. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 Entrance Assessment Genius. Speaking of the word genius from your mouth, the largest genius in Shrek, I'm really curious. When will you bring him to meet me? Yan Xiaozhe smiled softly and said. Zhang Lishuan said, He's at Shrek College, but if he wants to see you, he needs a little help from his senior brother. Yan Xiaozhe smiled and said, So you're waiting for me here, someone who can make you beg me. You probably have a good relationship with this little girl, but Lishuan, you should know the rules of Shrek. Even me, you can't violate the rules of Shrek Academy. Zhang Lishuan said, Senior brother, of course I know the rules of Shrek Academy, but the rules are also made by people and vary from person to person. Besides, strictly speaking, the genius I introduced to you does not violate Shrek's rules. He has awakened his martial soul for 3 years and now his soul power has reached level 13. Senior brother, can you please accommodate him? Yan Xiaozhe took a sip of tea and said, His martial soul has only been awakened for 3 years, and his soul power has reached level 13. It's not bad, but he has only been practicing for 3 years, so there's no need to worry. It's the same for him to come back to Shrek Academy next year. If he's really a genius as you said, it won't be too late after a year. Zhang Lishuan sighed and said, He can only join Shrek Academy this year. Although his martial soul has only been awakened for 3 years, he is already 11 years old this year. If he comes back next year, his age will definitely not pass the level. The martial soul has been awakened for 3 years, and it has reached the age of 11. Are you saying that he is the martial soul who only awakened at the age of 8? Yan Xiaozhe was stunned for a moment, reacted, and asked with a cold expression, Is it the child who happened 3 years ago? The Lord of Pinghai City, and the group of worms from the 3 major empires, really damn it. That's right, senior brother. Do you still remember the young man whose father died in the hands of the evil soul master? 3 years ago, his martial soul was awakened by me. Now that he is 11 years old, he has shown great talent, but after all, he has 2 less years of cultivation time than ordinary people. In the end, this matter is still due to the weak supervision of our Shrek Academy. If we refuse him to join Shrek Academy because of this, it will be chilling. Zhang Lishuan sighed and continued, and 3 years ago, he had already been disappointed with our Shrek Academy. If it weren't for my repeated requests, what he meant was that he would rather go to the Sun and Moon Empire than come to any of our Shrek Academy or any of the 3 major empires. A dusty memory also came to Yan Xiaozhe's mind. On that day, he received a supervision task and personally went to capture and kill the lord of Pinghai City, Lin Yutian. However, by chance, he saw a big scene. He saw with his own eyes how a young man who was not even a soul master gradually led Lin Yutian, who had already approached the realm of the soul sect, into a desperate situation. Of course, he underestimated the strength of the soul master. If it weren't for his own actions, Lin Yutian might have escaped from the heavenly realm. But the character and strategy displayed by the young man at that time still lingered in his memory. Zhang Lishuan continued, "Senior brother, do you know what? This time, I will accompany him to the Star Doe forest to hunt for the soul beast needed for the first soul ring." Wait, is the soul ring he fused beyond the limit of fusion? Yan Xiaozhe himself is a strong person, and naturally knows what it means to reach level 13 just by fusing the first soul ring. In addition to having accumulated a deep foundation in soul warriors before, the first soul ring of fusion must be perfect fusion or even beyond the limit of fusion. Not only that. Zhang Lishuan said, his first soul ring was a diamond tiger with a lifespan of 800 years. Moreover, this diamond tiger has royal blood on its body, and its strength is no worse than that of a 1,000-year-old soul beast. More importantly, since encountering this soul beast, he has killed it alone. Zhang Lishuan still cannot forget the shock that the 800-year-old diamond tiger brought to her by smashing one coffin at a time in Jianghai. What did you say? He killed the King Kong tiger, who had been practicing for 800 years and still had the blood of the royal family, alone. Yan Xiaozhe also suppressed it. The young man appeared again in his mind and whispered, if it were him, maybe there could really be this possibility. Yan Xiaozhe said sternly, Lishuan, tell me exactly the process of you meeting the Vajra tiger and fusing his soul rings with him. Zhang Lishuan nodded and said everything she had seen before. After listening to Zhang Lishuan's description, Yan Xiaozhe's expression also became more solemn. Although there is a limit to the fusion of soul rings, this limit can vary from person to person. People who are naturally strong or regularly exercise will have a longer duration of soul ring fusion than the average person. However, human physique also has its limits, and the difficulty of exercising one's physique is far more difficult than cultivating soul power. Even if someone is born with a strong physique, the soul master who will not be tempered with soul power is too strong. Therefore, most of the soul rings that break through the limit of ordinary people to fuse the first soul ring are those that have been around for more than 500 years. It is rare to directly fuse the first soul ring like Jiang Hai for 800 years. A more significant point is that the root of Jiang Hai's higher level fusion soul ring is his martial soul. With the strength of his martial soul, his advantage will become greater, and the duration of the fusion soul ring will also become stronger. 10,000 years ago, Tang San also surpassed his peers and became a god through cultivation, thanks to his soul ring age far exceeding that of ordinary people. But it was only through the fourth soul ring that Tang San truly opened up the gap with his peers, and this advantage of Jiang Hai existed from the beginning. Another important point is that Jiang Hai's innate divine power, combined with the weight of his martial soul, demonstrates a miraculous talent for practical combat. However, Yan Xiaozhe quickly calmed down and pondered for a while before asking, Lishuan, do you think his martial soul is a huge copper coffin? Zhang Lishuan was aware of Yan Xiaozhe's concerns and hesitated for a moment before saying, Senior brother, have we always had a certain prejudice against martial souls like coffins? Birth, aging, illness, and death are the norm in life. Apart from the legendary gods, who can avoid death? Coffins can be said to be the place where people lose their bodies. Is it really an evil artifact? If coffins are evil artifacts, why do everyone in the world still want to be buried in the ground after death? Perhaps our understanding of coffins is biased from the beginning, because we are all afraid of death, so we subconsciously think that coffins are unknown. Yan Xiaozhe glanced at Zhang Lishuan and asked, is this passage your own reflection, or was it told to you by that young man? Coffins are not evil weapons. Interestingly, that's right. Whether it's us soul masters or ordinary people, who is not afraid of death, that's why coffins are taboo. We say coffins are unknown, but in fact, we are afraid of death. This is my token. Take him directly to the registration place, tell the registration teacher, and allow him to participate in the assessment. Thank you, senior brother. Zhang Lishuan happily took Yan Xiaozhe's command and said a thank you before running out. Yan Xiaozhe looked at Zhang Lishuan's departure and shook his head, saying, "We have lived for so many years, but not a single child can see through it. But who isn't afraid of death? If you're afraid of death, you naturally have to avoid coffins. This young man's future path is not easy to follow." Yan Xiaozhe shook his head, closed his eyes, and fell asleep. When Zhang Lishuan found everyone, Beibei and Tangya also took the two of them to understand Shrek's environment and helped Yuhao complete registration and registration. Beibei, Jianghai. Zhang Lishuan ran over excitedly, raised her hand and smiled, saying, "Jianghai, your matter has been resolved. Let's go and join me for the freshman admission assessment. As long as you pass the assessment, you can join Shrek College. The admission assessment may be a bit difficult for others, but your strength is almost guaranteed. But one thing needs to be agreed upon. If I find that you intentionally lost, don't blame me for being angry." Jiang Hai said helplessly, "Sister Xian, don't worry, what kind of person do you think I am? You have worked so hard to give me the opportunity, how could I deliberately let go? Brother Beibei, Sister Tangya, Yuhao, then I'll leave first. We'll meet later. Brother Jiang Hai, I look forward to the moment when I am classmates with you," Beibei encouraged. Brother Jiang Hai, I believe you will definitely succeed. I am waiting for you at Shrek Academy. Yuhao also waved his fist at Jiang Hai and let out a sigh. "Don't worry, I won't let you down," Jiang Hai smiled. "Let's go, I'll take you over," Zhang Lishuan said. Jiang Hai bid farewell to Yuhao and the others, and Zhang Lishuan took him to the square of Shrek College, which is the place for assessment. A teacher sat in a tent set up, with a long queue in front for registration and first assessment. Your situation is special, so you don't have to queue up this time, but you need to remember that Shrek is a very fair place. It is strictly prohibited to bully others or classmates. Of course, normal sparring and challenges are acceptable. You should already know that there is a soul fighting arena in the living area. After you reach second grade, there will be certain soul fighting tasks every semester, and of course, there will be additional rewards for good performance. Zhang Lishuan said while also promoting some rules of Shrek to Jiang Hai. Teacher Wang Yan, are you responsible for the registration and assessment of the first level this time? Zhang Lishuan brought Jiang Hai to the teacher in charge of registration and said in surprise. "It's Lu Xian, what's up?" Wang Yan asked. Although he is a teacher, Zhang Lishuan's position in Shrek is still above him. In his 20s, Soul Dolua is the future title Dolua, and he is just a Soul Emperor. Teacher Wang Yan, I brought a friend to register for the assessment, and this is the registration fee. My friend's situation is a bit special, and his soul power is slightly lower than the required soul power. However, I have already contacted Dean Yan and obtained his permission to give him a chance to assess. This is Dean Yan's order. Zhang Lishuan took the order given to him by Yan Xiaozhe and said. Wang Yan took the warrant and glanced at it. After confirming its accuracy, he returned it to Zhang Lishuan. He nodded and said, "Okay, but the process still needs to go. Child, extend your hand." Upon hearing this, Jiang Hai extended his left hand. Although he is only 11 years old, his hands are covered in dead calluses, not like those of 11 years old. Yan Xiaozhe glanced at the dead cocoon on Jiang Hai's hand, and the displeasure in his eyes dissipated. He said softly, "Don't be afraid, I'm just measuring your bone age. What's your name?" Jiang Hai. Jiang Hai replied. End of this chapter.